Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be covering two more business phrases, and those business phrases are going to be back to square one and ballpark figure or ballpark number. Let's get started. Okay, so these two business phrases are very common. You will find them or hear them in your workplace weekly, sometimes if not daily. So let's start with the first one, back to square one. And I find the best way to explain this phrase is to think of maybe a board game that involves some squares. Now you usually start at the very first square, and you work your way around the game or around the board trying to advance. However, sometimes you might have some bad luck, bad roll of the dice, and you have to go back to the beginning. So essentially, that is what that phrase means, is back to square one. So in the game, you might say to the other players, I have to head back to square one. And they think, oh, okay, you need to start over again. In a business sense, what this phrase means is you may be working on a project, you might be working on something very specific at work, and you're just not successful with it. You seem to be going down the wrong path, or things just aren't working out. So you may want to just stop everything, go back to the beginning, and start over. So we're not going to really redo, we're going to sort of remake. So you're going to do everything over again, right from the beginning, right from scratch, and start again. So in an example, I might use it like this. Imagine one of my coworkers says to me, so Jay, how are you doing with the project? And I might say, you know what? Last week I decided that I wasn't really progressing and doing well with it, so I had to start back at square one. Or maybe you work for a software company and they were trying to develop some software, or you're coding a program and it's just not working. There's just too many glitches, too many problems, and you're better off to start over again. So I might say something like, you know what guys, I think we should start back at square one. Now the next one is ballpark number or ballpark figure. And I think that this one's a little easier to understand if you talk about the levels or the degrees when we talk about, for example, money, maybe. So we have what's called an estimate, and we have what's called being accurate or being precise with an estimate. So if you were to give someone an estimate, it's kind of a rough number. So let's just use $100 for example. So if I was to say to somebody, hey, can you give me a rough estimate on what it's going to cost? They might tell me anywhere from $90 to maybe $120, knowing that $100 would be the accurate amount or the precise amount. If somebody says, can you give me an accurate estimate, you want to be within a couple of dollars. So you're probably going to say $95 to $105, somewhere there. If somebody says a precise estimate, they want it to the exact number. So it's going to be $100.56. So you're really, really precise, right down to the cents. Now a ballpark number or a ballpark figure is a very, very rough estimate. I would say it's almost a guess. You don't really have too much education behind what you're going to say. So you haven't really done much research and you're just kind of guessing. So imagine that I want to fix something on my car and I really just have no clue whatsoever how much that's going to cost. So I might say to the mechanic, hey, can you give me a ballpark number or a ballpark figure on how much that's going to cost? Now, when I say that, I'm not going to hold my mechanic to that number because I know that I asked him for a ballpark number. What I want to know is that he's not going to tell me $10,000 or something crazy that I absolutely can't afford. So if I was expecting to pay maybe $2,000 for a repair on my car, and he said, I don't know, $3,000, maybe $3,500, then okay, I could consider that a ballpark number or a ballpark figure. Okay? Sometimes your boss at work might be just trying to find out some numbers or find out a time frame. So you're working on something and your boss says, hey, when are you going to have that project done? Can you give me a ballpark time? So it can change. It doesn't always have to mean money. They could be just asking for a time. So you could say to them, yeah, I think roughly a ballpark figure for when I would have the project done might be maybe the end of next week. So I'm sort of guessing if I go over a couple of days or I'm come in a couple of days sooner, that's okay. He knows. He knows that I gave him a ballpark estimate on the time limit. All right, guys, that is it for today's lesson of those two phrases. Hopefully I was able to explain them to you well enough. Just remember that you can always look on the channel for phrasal verbs, linking words. I also have videos about idioms. And I'm going to be bringing you guys a new series as well. I'm going to be talking to other teachers and students, and I plan to make sort of like an interview series that you guys can watch as well, just to kind of see what other English teachers are saying about learning English online, and just to listen to some other students with their stories and how they learned English, their tips and tricks, and the most efficient way that they could learn. Okay? Thank you for checking out the video. Thank you for all your support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.